morning students. Welcome students to the fourth chapter of Political Science of Standard 9th. Name of the chapter is United Nation. So in this chapter we are going to study about the United Nation. Now students, already in the first chapter of Political Science we have studied about the post-World War political developments. So in that we have studied about the First World War and the Second World War. Now, after the First World War, when it came to an end, so at that time, for the establishment of the peace and to avoid the warlike situations, so yes, the nations they came together and they have formed the League of Nations for the establishment of peace and to solve the conflicts. But in that we have studied about that League of Nations. It has failed to control the some of the aggressive nations, and as a result the Second World War has also broke out. Second World War broke out in the year 1939 with when Germany invaded Poland, and afterward in the year 1945 the Second World War came to an end with the defeat of Germany and Japan. Germany's defeat in Europe and Japan's defeat in Asia. After that, the Second World War also came to an end, and the whole world then it realized that there is a need of an international organizations for the establishment of the peace, and for that purpose only here the United Nations has been formed or it was established. So about that we are going to study about the United Nations, how the United Nations it was formed, when it was formed, in which year it was formed, and what are the different structures or organizations through which the United Nations it is functioning. So all this we are going to study in this chapter. So let's begin with the chapter. Now, what are we going to learn in this chapter? That is, the United Nations international organization was established to ensure peace and security at the international level. So, for the establishment of peace and security, the United Nations was established at the international level. So, in the present chapter, we shall study its objectives, principles, structures, and the role in securing peace. What is the important role that is played by the United Nations for the establishment of peace? So, first is the United Nations, the background. Now, two world wars were fought at the start of the 20th century. That already I told, no, that two world war, First World War and the Second World War has taken place. So, and in that life and property were destroyed on a larger scale in this war. As a result, the League of Nations was established after the First World War, and United Nations was established after the Second World War. Out of the realization that there has to be a mechanism means a structure system has to be formed to establish world peace. The League of Nations did not succeed at all, but after the use of the nuclear weapons in the Second World War, the idea took root that such destructive wars should be stopped and that it is the collective responsibility of all the nations. So the United Nations was established after the Second World War to instill this understanding among all the nations. To implant that understanding among the all nations. So that is, after the First World War, League of Nations was established, but League of Nations it has failed. So because of that only the Second World War has taken place. Afterwards, Second World War, in that destructive weapons were used. As a result, there was loss of life and property. And to stop such destructive wars in future, for that purpose, the United Nations has been established by all the nations. So we are going to study next is the chronology of the establishment of the United Nations. Now the Atlantic Treaty was signed between Prime Minister of England Sir Winston Churchill and American President Franklin D. Roosevelt during the Second World War on 14th August 1941. So that is it, Atlantic Treaty. It was signed between whom? Between the Prime Minister of England and the President of America at the time when the World War was going on, that is on 14th August 1941. Now, according to this treaty, a decision was taken to set up a permanent mechanism to establish international security after the Second World War was over. So, in this treaty, what was a decision was taken, that is, at the end of the war, a permanent structure has to be established for the purpose of international security. So detailed discussions followed on this decision in two conferences among the Allied powers in the year 1944 and 1945, and a draft of the treaty to establish an international organization was prepared. So related related with this matter, detailed discussions has been taken place. So for that purpose, two conferences were held by the Allied powers, that is in the year 1944 and 1945, and a draft means a order of the treaty was established, an international organization was prepared. Now at San Francisco in America, representative of 50 countries drafted the Charter of United Nations after discussions. So after having the discussions, the Charter of the United Nations, it was drafted by how many nations? 50 nations, 50 countries were involved. As soon as the war got over, the charter was signed on 24th October 1945 and the United Nations was established. So as soon as the war, it came to an end by the defeat of Germany and Japan. So this charter was signed on 24th October 1945. And the United Nations is an international organization of sovereign nations. So United Nations, it is an international organization of sovereign, independent, powerful nations. Now here, can you tell that has been cancelled for you for this year? Next we will start studying about the objectives of the United Nations. Now the United Nations, it is the world's largest international organization. In the beginning, only 50 countries were the members of the United Nations. So when it was established at that time in the starting, only 50 countries were the member of the United Nations. But today this membership has gone up to 193. So all these members nations came together on the platform of the United Nations. The United Nations has its own definite objectives. Briefly, the United Nations takes up all necessary measures for establishing international peace. So this United Nations, it became a platform of the United Nations. All these members, they got a platform where whatever the problems are there, that will be discussed of all the member nations. And the United Nations is started functioning on its own objectives for the purpose for establishing international peace. So here some of the objectives are given. First is to establish friendly relation among the nations. So what is the main work of the main objective of the United Nations? To establish friendly relations among the nations. To enhance international security by solving the international disputes. Enhance means to improve. To improve the international security by solving the international disputes. Disputes means conflicts. जो झगड़ा होता है ना, that. Or to safeguard and foster human rights and freedom. To safeguard, to protect and foster, to boost human rights and freedom. Now along with this, the United Nations also aim at enhancing economic cooperation at the international level. Now along with these objectives, so it also promoted economic cooperation with at the international level. That is, at the international level, the nations, they should come together and they should economically, financially, they should cooperate with each other. Now all the member countries are bound by duty to respect the diplomatic privileges of sovereign nations. So all the member countries, they are bound to respect the what are the foreign policies are there of the sovereign nations, so of the supreme nations. So they have to respect that, not to attack the other countries. One nation should not attack the other nations, and abide by international law. They have to obey the international law and follow the treaties. The United Nations is an organization created by the coming together of the sovereign nations. So United Nations, it is an organization that is established because of the coming togetherness of the sovereign nations. All the independent nations, they have came together and they have established that. Naturally, it is based on the certain principles and rules. They are briefly as stated as. So here some principles are given of the United Nations that all the nation has to follow. So first principle is all the member nation will have to have the same status, whether rich or poor, developed or undeveloped. All the nations, they will be getting the same status. There is no discrimination among nations based on geographical size, economic or military power. So United Nations, it is not going to discriminate among the member nations on the basis of geographical साइज. मीन्स कोई नेशन बहुत बड़ा है, कोई छोटा नेशन है, स्मॉल कंट्री है, तो उसको इट इज़ नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्क्रिमिनेट, कोई भेदभाव नहीं करने वाला. एंड इकोनॉमिक और मिलिट्री पावर बेस्ड ऑन द इकोनॉमिक फाइनेंशियल कंडीशन, मतलब डेवलप कंट्री है सो मोर इम्पॉर्टेंट हैज़ टू बी गिवन, अंदर इज लेस डेवलप कंट्री है सो less importance has to be given. So that is not done in the United Nations. Equal status is given to all the nations, and on the military power also, based on the military power also, no discrimination is made. All the member nations of the United Nations should respect the freedom and geographical unity of the other member nation. So each and every nation, whichever the nations are the member of the United Nations, they have to respect the freedom and the geographical unity of the member nations. All the member nations should solve their international disputes by mutual understanding. So whatever the disputes are there, conflicts are there, that has to be solved by mutual understanding. Next is the structure of the United Nations. Now United Nations Charter describes the structure and functioning of the organization. So here we are going to study about the structure of the United Nations. So altogether here 6 structures are there of the United Nations. 6 main organs are there through which the United Nations is going to function. So first one is the General Assembly, second is Security Council, third one is Economic and Social Council, fourth one is International Court of Justice, fifth is the Trusteeship Council, and last is the Secretariat. So altogether 6 organs or 6 structures are there of the United Nations organization. Now apart from these 6 major organs, there are many affiliated organs. Affiliated means linked organs of the they are linked with the United Nations, so that help in its functions. So they are called as specialized agencies. Now working in specific areas, they help different nations in those areas. So different specific areas are given to those agencies, and they are working in that area. The following are some of the important agencies. So first is the International Labour Organization. So they are working for the labours. Food and Agriculture Organization, World Health Organizations, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, United Nations Children Fund, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organizations. So here they are a little different. These are the different agencies, and they are working in that area. So first we are going to study in detail about the General Assembly. Now all the member countries are the members of the General Assembly. So all the member countries, जितने भी, जैसे कि अभी 193, so all the 193 are the members of the General Assembly. The position is status of all these countries, whether they are rich or poor, big or small, is the same. So equal status is given to all the countries. Every year the General Assembly meets in its section from September to December. So when these sections are held of the General Assembly from September to December. Now during this session the General Assembly discusses important issues like, so topics that are discussed in the General Assembly are related with the environment, disarmament, etc. Now the decisions in the General Assembly are taken by majority. So here decisions which after the discussions, so decisions it are taken by majority. Majority means voting is done based on that. These decisions are in the form of resolutions. Resolution means plans, decisions, suggestions के जैसे होते हैं. Thus the General Assembly only passes resolutions, it does not make laws. So here in the General Assembly, what is the discussions are held and decisions are taken, but it cannot, General Assembly cannot make the law. The significance, that is the importance of the General Assembly, lies in being a platform for representatives of member nations to come together and discuss and make policy decisions on issues of global importance. So General Assembly, it has become a platform for all the representatives of the member nation, whichever nations they are the member of the United Nations. So it became a platform for them where they can come together and discuss any matter of the global importance can be discussed there and decisions can be taken. Now first, functions of the General Assembly, how it is functioning. So first function is to elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council. Now in the Security Council, so in that the non-permanent members of the Security Council, they are elected by the General Assembly to choose the United Nations Secretary General and the judges of the International Court of Justice in consultation with the Security Council. Under is here the General Assembly, they choose the United Nations Secretary General and judges of the International Court of Justice with the consultation of the Security Council. And third is to pass the annual budget of the United Nations. So annually budget of the United Nations, so that is also passed by the General Assembly. Now the headquarters of the United Nations, it is at New York. English, French, Russian, Spanish, Chinese and Arabic are, these are the official language of the United Nations. So next we will be studying about, that is the Security Council. Now there are altogether 15 members in the Security Council. Of them 5 are permanent while the 10 are the non-permanent members. So in the Security Council total 15 members are there. In that 5 are permanent members and 10 are the non-permanent members of the Security Council. The non-permanent members are chosen by every 2 years by the General Assembly. So America, Russia, England, France and China, these are the permanent members of the Security Council. So they have the veto power. Veto power is given to all these 5 nations. For any decisions to be taken, the assent means approval of all the 5 permanent members and 4 non-permanent members is necessary. If even one of the 5 permanent member uses his veto power, gives a negative vote, the decisions cannot be taken. So in these 5 permanent members are there, no, in that if any of the nation, उसमें से कोई भी एक नेशन अगर नेगेटिव वोट देगा, 4 are agreeing and 1 is not going to agree, so the decisions cannot be taken. So that is called as the veto power. Next is functions of the Security Council. Now the main responsibility of the Security Council is to maintain international peace and security. So what is the main duty responsibility? To maintain international peace and security. The Security Council may suggest one of the following alternatives in situations of international conflict. And if sometimes any conflicts, international conflict is going to take place, so some suggestions can be given by the Security Council. So यहाँ पे है end and resolve conflict and make efforts to establish peace. If the nations, 2 nations are there, they are having any conflict, so it can give the suggestion that immediately they have to stop the conflicts and make efforts. They have to make the efforts to establish peace. Impose economic sanctions or take decisions of military action against the aggressive nations. Aggression means attacker nations. So under duty is to impose economic sanctions, economic agreements, actions against the aggressive. Along with that, it can take military action against the aggressive nations. Now see, it is children. Here one of the important differences, the League of Nations जो हमने पढ़ा था, in that League of Nations was not having the military power, but here United Nations, it is having the military power. So it can take military actions against the aggressive nations. Second is to prepare policies for arms control. So such types of policies has to be it can prepare, so which can reduce the competition of the arms. To play a joint role along with the General Assembly in the appointments of the judges of the International Court of Justice, that we have already studied in the function of the General Assembly, that it can play a joint role in the along with the General Assembly regarding the appointments of the judges of the Court of Justice, International Court of Justice, and the United Nations Secretary General. Now suggestions are made to reform in the Security Council and make it more democratic. India is making efforts to get the permanent membership of the Security Council. So here more suggestion means to bring more reforms, more changes as in the Security Council. Suggestions are given, and our country India, it is also making India is making the efforts to become a permanent member of the Security Council. Next is Economic and Social Council. Now here the main objective of this organization is to coordinate the economic and social policies of the United Nations. So what is the main objective here? To coordinate the economic and social policies of the United Nations. The council has 54 members. Altogether 54 members are there here, and they are selected by the General Assembly. Each member has a tenure of 3 years, and each year 1/3 of the members are newly chosen. Decisions are taken by majority vote. So here of the Economic and Social Council, so each and every member, they are having a tenure period, means they are enjoying a term of 3 years, and each year 1/3 of the members are newly chosen. Now functions. First is to initiate discussions at the global level on issues like poverty, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and suggest policies to tackle these problems. Initiation is to bring or to process discussions. Discussions are held at the global level on the issues. So which topics on that discussions are held? Poverty problem, unemployment, economic and social inequality, and related with these topics, which type of policies can be made to deal with these problems. So discussions are held here. Second is discuss issues like women's questions. So matter on women's related questions are discussed here regarding empowerment of women, human rights, fundamental freedoms, global trade, health related issues, etc. These topics are discussed and decisions are taken. Make efforts to establish cultural and educational cooperation at the international level. And fourth one is coordinate the functioning of the different organizations working in association with the United Nations. Now already on the page number 79 we have studied, that is different organizations are there. So coordinate their functioning with the United Nations organizations. Next is Secretariat. The Secretariat has the responsibility of carrying out the administrative task of the United Nations. So the administrative work of the United Nations, it is done by the Secretariat. The chief of the Secretariat is called as Secretary General, and this Secretary General is selected by the General Assembly and the Security Council, and the term period of his working is 5 years. Functions of the Secretariat. So first function is to call international conferences on global problems like climate change, human rights, disarmament, etc. So to call conference meetings at the global on the whenever the global problem is there, like climate change, human rights and disarmament. To organize the meetings of the General Assembly and Security Council. Along with that, Secretary General it can call it can Secretary General can organize the meetings of the General Assembly and the Security Council to compel informations. So whatever the information is there, to arrange or to put together all the informations. And fourth one is to supply informations to the media. So whatever the decisions are taken, what policies has to be implemented, what has been discussed, so to inform all that, to supply that all that information to who? To the media. Next is International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice means judicial branch of the United Nations. So it is a judicial branch of the United Nations. It is located at Hague, that is in Netherlands, and there are altogether 15 judges in the International Court of Justice, and these judges, they are chosen by the General Assembly and the Security Council, and the working period of these judges is of 9 years. So now we are going to study about the function of the International Court of Justice. So first is to settle the disputes between two or more member nations of the United Nations. So whatever the disputes are there between two or more member nations, so that disputes or conflicts has to be solved. Second is to interpret international law authentically. Interpret means to clarify or explain the international law authentically in the same way, means whatever is the in the original way, that has to be explained to all the member nations. To advise the various organs or subsidiary bodies of the United Nations about legal issues, and whichever the various organs are there. Now we have studied 6 organs are there, so, or any subsidiary bodies apart from that जो दूसरे agencies है, if that agencies they are going to need any legal advices, so that can be provided by the International Court of Justice. Now here below here it is given International Criminal Code. Now the International Criminal Code is an intergovernmental organization at the International Tribunal. Its headquarters is at Hague in Netherlands, and the International Criminal Court has the jurisdictions to prosecute individuals for international crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes that are of concern to the international community. So this International Court of Justice, it can provide jurisdictions to the prosecute. Conducting means legal proceedings it can do on individuals for the international crimes they must have committed of genocide. Genocide means killing large number of people, or any crime that is done against humanity, or war crimes. So related with these issues, it can do the jurisdictions. Next is Trusteeship Council. Now after the Second World War, the territories that were undeveloped were placed under the responsibility of the developed nations. So when the Second World War came to, and after that the territories that were undeveloped, so that undeveloped territories were given to the developed nations. The latter were supposed to help bring about the development of the trust territories, and once they attain independence from their colonies, help establish democracy. So the latter, that is the developed nations, they were supposed to help. They were supposed to bring the development of that trust territory, means whichever the territories were allotted to them, so they have to bring the development of that territories. And afterwards, when this colonialism came to an end, so once this nation they got the independence from their colonies, they have to help that nations to establish democracy. The work of the Trusteeship Council is over, as there are no trust territories. So the work of this council is over, as there is no trust territories left. So the work of the Trusteeship Council ended with when Palau got independence. So when it came to an end, that is on 1st November 1994, when Palau got independence. Palau, it is an island in the Pacific Ocean, 500 meters east of Philippines. Next is the Millennium Development Goals. Now the United Nations member nations came together in 2000 and decided upon the development goals for the new millennium. So some of the important goals, so that we are going to study one by one. First is to eliminate poverty and hunger. To eliminate end or to reduce poverty and hunger, to end up, to make facilities of primary education available, to make primary education available for all the children, to bring about women's empowerment, reduce infant mortality rate, and to bring about women's empowerment and reduce the infant mortality rate, that is the death rate, to take special care of the health of the pregnant women, to fight diseases like AIDS, malaria, etc., and to protect the environment and increase the cooperation between developed and developing countries, to protect the environment and to bring cooperation between developed and developing countries. Now a time period has been decided to achieve this goal. So after that, means a time period was given, they have taken that in between the, means after this much years we have to achieve, means all these goals has to be achieved. India has made considerable progress in the direction of achieving the Millennium Development Goals with the help of UNICEF and UNESCO. Now UNICEF, it is an affiliated organization of the United Nations. It works towards making nutritious food and health care available to children. So UNICEF, it is working for whom? It is providing. It is an organization of the United Nations. It works to make available nutritious food and health care available to the children. So for that purpose, many workshops were organized in India to find out the measures to overcome the malnutrition problem in our country among the babies and children. And UNESCO, it is another affiliated organization of the United Nations, and it works to bring peace and security by promoting cooperations, by bringing cooperation between the member countries in the field of education, science and culture. Next is the United Nations and preservation of peace. Now the objective of the United Nations is to settle international conflict peacefully. So what is the main intention that we have studied? That is to settle international conflict peacefully, by a peace way. Whatever the conflicts is there, that has to be solved. The United Nations Charter lays down the ways and means to be employed to achieve this goal. So in that they have selected the way and how it can achieve its objectives and goals. So it includes appointing an intermediary acceptable to the nations involved in the conflict. So intermediary means mediator. So sometimes what happens now, if between two nations conflicts is going on, so it is going to appoint an intermediary. एक मेडिटेटर को अपॉइंट करेंगे. मेडिटेटर मतलब एक मिडिल पर्सन को अपॉइंट करेंगे, दैट इज गोइंग टू लिसन द साइड ऑफ both the nations, and afterward solutions can be given. Use legal procedure. So follow the legal procedures. Appoint an arbitrator to solve the dispute if needed. Arbitrator means here intervener, that is the third person. And to take recourse to military means and ensure that conflict will not occur. And along with that, to recourse to military means if needed, military actions can also be taken and ensure that means in future conflict may not take place again. In modern times, human security has been threatened by terrorism, racism and religious conflicts. Now in today's period, this human security is facing this problem, that is terrorism problem the whole world is facing. Racism, that is the race differences, black and white. So and religious conflict based on the religion, the problem that is going on. So as a result, the function of the securing peace of the United Nations has acquired a global importance. Now the United Nations makes efforts to ensure that violence does not erupt in strife-prone areas, and normalcy is resorted as soon as possible by. So the United Nations, it is making efforts. कहाँ पे violence नहीं होना चाहिए, violence should not take place in the strife-prone areas. मतलब जो वायलेंट कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के थ्रू, बिकॉज जहाँ पे डिवाइड हुए हैं, सो वो एरिया में दैट वायलेंस शुड नॉट ब्रेक आउट, एंड इमीडिएटली मीन्स नॉर्मलिसी कंडीशन शुड बी एस्टेब्लिश, नॉर्मल कंडीशन में लेके आना चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे कि कहीं पे कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स हो गए, सो इमीडिएटली कंडीशन शुड बी मेंटेन नॉर्मल एंड स्टार्टिंग स्कूल्स, creating awareness among the people about the human rights, make social and economic political facilities available to all the people, and conduct elections. Next is the United Nations peacekeeping forces. Now the peacekeeping activity of the United Nations involves creating appropriate circumstances favorable for bringing about permanent peace in the strife-prone areas. So here the peacekeeping forces, what is their duty? The peacekeeping forces, no, they are means their work is to create appropriate, that is proper circumstances, situations, favorable situations they have to create and bring about permanent peace in the wherever in that areas where violence has taken place. The peacekeeping forces help these areas to progress towards peace. So what is peace? By the name only we can come to know. Peacekeeping forces means they have to work for maintaining peace in conflict ridden areas wherever clashes has taken place. So security is provided and at the same time help is also extended so that peace can be maintained in such areas. The United Nations takes up peacekeeping as one of the tasks for safeguarding and fostering peace in the world. So here United Nations it is taking as a challenge for maintaining and for maintaining peace in the world. Following things are the other actions of the United Nations may take supplementary to peacekeeping activities for maintaining peace. So some other actions can also be taken by the peacekeeping forces. So what are they? First one is prevention of conflict and mediation. So first thing is it has to take such measures that there should be no conflict among the nations, and if sometimes conflict is going to take place, so at that time here it can mediate in that, intervene in that dispute, means whatever the clashes is going on in that intervene करके बीच में पड़ के whatever the problems are there that can be resolved. Actually establishing peace, and what is the main intention? To maintain peace, implement the measures of protecting peace, and such types of measures has to be taken so that peace can be maintained at the global level. And peace building means again to maintain peace. Next is United Nations and India. India had participated in the different conferences that were held before an establishment of the United Nations. So before the United Nations there has been conferences. So whenever conferences was held, so India has participated in that. Now India has participated in bringing issues like decolonization, disarmament, racial segregation on the United Nations platform. So whatever the issues that were discussed at the United Nations, so India has participated in that. For example, decolonization, decolonize करना मतलब colonies को freedom देके देना. So that in that also India has participated. Disarmament, that is reductions in the armed power. Racial segregation means separation जो race differences होते हैं ना, so in that also on discussions were held. So India has participated in that. In 1946 India was the first country to raise the question of racism in the United Nations. So in 1946 when discussions was held, so it is told that India was the first nation to raise the question on racism. India has always led the discussions about the problems of undeveloped and developing countries. Moreover, whenever the problems of the developed countries and the developing countries, undeveloped countries and developing countries was discussed, so at that time on that discussions also India has participated. India has always sent her troops to participate in the United Nations peacekeeping forces or for maintaining peace at the global level whenever forces was needed. So at that time India has sent her troops. Not just that, India has also sent an all women peacekeeping force as well. So हमारे पास means India is having the all women peacekeeping force, so that was also sent. It is evident from the foregoing analysis that India makes serious efforts to solve international conflicts by peaceful means. And from studying that, means by studying this, what we can come to know that India had made very serious efforts has been made by India to establish peace at the world level and avoid international conflicts. Now students, so in this chapter we have studied about the structures of the United Nations. Along with that, the functions of each and every organs also we have studied, and about United Nations and India also we have studied. So students, hope you have understood this chapter. Now for assignment for you from this lesson will be, that is question number 2 in your textbook. All the 4 give reasons which are there, explain with reasons whether the following statements are true or false. And question number 4, that is answer the following questions in brief. 3 questions are there. So total 7 questions are there for you as assignment, and questions are there on the textbook on page number 83. Thank you.